Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Billen-Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Furber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode.
Hi.
Hey, Martin.
Hey,
Are you getting over COVID?
Just about, yeah. Nasty
Okay.
experience. I'm glad I had my jabs.
Yeah, I had mine too, but I also got it. At least I believe I got it. I had all the symptoms. The first test was negative and I was too sick to go get another one. That was mine showed up just after Thanksgiving, and it was a good 4 weeks. And what we were going to talk about is really the stress of having your plans just go sideways, be polite about it, when you've got so many things to get done. And as I did, because, I've got this, we've got Cheryl's concert by the time people listening to this, that's happened. And the launch of my new website, and I've got all the little twiddly bits of the new website, and just how, frankly, during the 4 weeks that I was ill, I really didn't care. But it really throws you for a loop, especially when you're a solopreneur, as so many hypnotists are.
Yeah, of course. But do you think, though, it's part of that thing of our self-preservation mode? Our sort of primitive brain will always step in to protect us. And even when we are perhaps physically laid up, but we think, no, we can get on with this mentally, i.e. some work on the computer, this, that, and the other, then we just can't concentrate. Not perhaps because we're feeling that ill, but it just won't allow us to concentrate. It won't allow us to do things.
I don't know if that's just because you're ill that your brain isn't working, but it certainly would be good to allow your body and mind to heal when things happen. I mean, even, if you've broken a leg and you can still function mentally, and you could be on the computer with your leg propped up, but you need more sleep. You need more rest, regardless of the fact that your brain is working. So I think we need to honor that. Sometimes, sometimes you need to push through. Sometimes it's really important to push through.
Yeah, it's getting that balance, though, isn't it? You've got to push through, and then on the other hand, it's like sort of, as you've always said, any medical condition is exacerbated by stress. So
exactly.
Even a broken leg will take longer to heal if your body's spending all its energy using your brain rather than healing. That's in my very simple terms, but
so I think we actually may have run out of this topic, because it felt like it was going to be a really long topic, but I think we can segue to other stresses in life. Do you see, I have acquired a new client, I should say, who has a condition. I won't say what it is, but a medical condition, a known medical condition, that's one of those symptoms that's really irritating. Isn't going to do anything bad to her. It's never going to go away, but it gets worse when she's anxious and stressed. And so she's come to me after several years. She thankfully has already been hypnotized by somebody several years ago, more than a decade ago, who is no longer with us. And now she's looking for a new person.
So she knows the process works.
She knows the process, and she trusts the process. Yes. And delightfully, she asked her doctor how her doctor felt about it, and her doctor said, absolutely.
That was
wonderful.
That's great. And that brings us right back to the beginning of this conversation when you were talking about your new website, because although this podcast is not an advert for either of our websites in particular, I know you've been working really, really hard on it. I know you were put back for 4 weeks when you had COVID. But I do think it would be a good idea, because we don't know who all our listeners are. I know some of them are hypnotherapists, and I also know some of them are members of the public with an interest in hypnotherapy. But we don't know if anybody else is in the medical profession or something like that, if any of our other listeners are in the medical profession. And your new website is in part aimed at doctors, isn't it? And other people in the medical profession. There's
a section. There's a section aimed at doctors
who want to introduce hypnosis into their practice, in addition to their tool belt. So obviously to their medical.
And not necessarily with them as the hypnotist, because you got a 7-minute session for somebody to deal with whatever the immediate medical issue is. You don't, I I can't even, and the ringing phones, and yes, you can be told to ignore them, but the reality for most physicians, those rapid inductions that can help take control of a situation and an emergency situation are the ones that are going to be really useful for them. I would never discourage anybody from learning hypnosis, please. It's a great thing, even if you're only going to use it for yourself. But really to encourage them to reach out and know what to look for in a hypnotist. It's come up over and over again that, weekend training is not enough.
No, absolutely. But...
And today's this client whose doctor said, go for it. She said, I asked her, how did you find me? Assuming it was going to be Google My Business or something. She's local, but further away than usual. Okay. She's still in my state, but she's further south than usual. The usual, people that aren't referred. And she said, I did my research and I knew I wanted somebody certified. I thought,
yeah,
I don't see many people who say they aren't. So I think it might have been who I was certified with. I didn't really get into it too far, but I think it is terribly important, and we need to realize, even if you took a weekend course, probably not going to be that confident. And if you're not that confident, it's really hard to get it to work if you don't believe in it.
Well,
so you can always do more training with a deeper look at what hypnosis does and answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm careful with my wording here because I know in the States you can't call yourself a hypnotherapist, but
in some states,
assuming I'm speaking from the British perspective, being able to hypnotize somebody is completely different from performing hypnotherapy on somebody. As I say, you say these weekend courses that you see popping up here, there, and everywhere. Yes, they might be able to teach you how to hypnotize somebody, but how to, give the full therapeutic benefits of hypnosis to somebody is a completely different thing. It's a much more.
It doesn't usually, if you've got a weekend, because you're going to have to take months and months to practice on your friends and relations.
Yeah, absolutely. But sorry. And just we were saying,
digress again. Why not?
Yeah, that subject ended quickly. I'm just going back to it now because when your plans suddenly get thrown up in the air, we were talking about maybe our primitive minds trying to protect us and stopping us from using all our blood sugars or whatever it is to use our brain. Of course, I'm putting everything in layman's terms, which may be useful for some of our listeners. But it throws everything out, doesn't it? When something happens like that, it then becomes more and more difficult, do you find, to get restarted?
Yes, it took me, I was probably better by Christmas. And then, of course, the Christmas kerfuffle, we are not a Christian household, so we weren't that involved with it. We were just some friends.
You still have to join in the queues at the shops.
Exactly. Yeah, the traffic and all the rest of it. It just really, that slows you down. It was hard to get. New Year really was the marking point. I think I had decided that 2023 was a restart, and I would get this website actually done. I'm a terrible person for deadlines. I need an absolute.
Yeah,
push a deadline further and further.
Do you find you work better with the deadline though, under that little bit of pressure, that little bit of adrenaline that comes with it? Yeah, I do. Even though we always say it's best not to leave things to the last minute, this, that, and the other, and procrastination, etc. But I do find when I have a definite deadline, not leaving it to the very last minute, but knowing I have that deadline, I find I work better to it.
Yeah, I find that if I do something ahead of time, unless somebody says, oh, good, I'll take that now, and it goes away from me, I'm constantly picking at it, tweaking at it until the deadline. And then I go into a little flurry of activity right before it's supposed to be in. So most of my articles and copy for websites and things get written and written and written. I'm sick of the subject by the time I actually get to it, and I put it away for a bit, and then right before it absolutely has to be in, I write something completely different.
Okay, so just going back to the question though, when you've been, say, thrown off kilter by a period of illness or something, how do you get motivated again? Do you have anything that you particularly do?
Aside from the external, you better do this because otherwise your business is going to go kapooey.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Yeah, I mean, really, the deadline I have now, I could push the deadline for forever, but I'm about to pay for my hosting again from the current website. So it's yeah, I can pay for that for another year, and then I can put this one off for another year. And I really need to have a website that I can make changes to. The new course isn't on my old one. I don't know how to make WordPress work, and I don't want to learn because there's just so many bits of tech, and they keep bringing out new bits of tech. So
there are, but
I'm going to use this deadline to motivate me, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
I think it's not consciously doing that. I think that's what happens.
So subconsciously, well, of course, that's what we deal with all the time as hypnotherapists.
Yes.
So yeah, you got that subconscious thing at the back of your brain telling you,
yeah,
get it done, get it done.
Yeah. Have you added any new things to the last? Do you have any new stuff coming up? Are you perfecting the stuff you did last year? Of course, you have the new office affiliation. That's really a 2023 thing, even though it started in 2022.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, that's it. I'm working alongside the consultant psychiatrists and the other therapists from other disciplines at the therapy company in Preston. I've got that on my plate. And then also I am starting a new position with a charity teaching mental health first aid to would-be mental health first aiders, because over here we've got that program in the workplace. Like most big workplaces will have a first aider. I think there's a legal requirement for it over a certain number of employees, and now workplaces are having a mental health first aider as well as a physical health first aider, and I'll be teaching that course. It's like a level 2 equivalent to English O level from back in the day.
And for Americans, that means it's about 10. Well, it's probably closer to 12th grade actually, because we have more specializations, but it's a high school level education, not a university level education.
Yes, I'm going to be teaching.
Do you think that those kind of outside validations also motivate you? You get a little pat on your back that a psychiatrist said, "Yes, Martin, come and work with me."
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be validated, isn't it? But it's also nice to get the recognition for hypnotherapy as well from people who are medically trained. I mean, psychiatrists refer people for other kinds of talking therapies, CBT most commonly, I imagine. But it's nice to be acknowledged by the psychiatric profession that they value hypnotherapy as an additional complementary therapy, as a useful tool. Yes, it's good for the benefit of all hypnotherapy, isn't it?
Absolutely, which is what the main purpose of my new version of my website is, to try and get more people to hear about it.
Your new website, it's the same web address though, isn't it? AA Hypnosis.
Yeah, it's actually, there'll be two, but that'll get you there, and the one that's on there will get you there too. Heal and Be Radiant.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
and of course.
Yeah. Thank you for the plug.
Oh, no problem. It's in the show notes below as well.
So what do you do to unwind? Because we do. I know Sunday is sacrosanct, not for religious purposes, but that's the one day that you, if Nick is off, you don't have to. You make sure you have time off. Okay,
to unwind or to relax, there's a difference. I'll give you an example. Yeah, definitely. Please. I'll give you an example today. I was run ragged. I was here, there, and everywhere. Clients here, articles there, run absolutely ragged. And I was at that point where you might think you're just going to sit down and with a cup of just relax and do nothing. And I thought, no, I'm going to go and clean the bathroom. And boy, oh boy, did I feel better for that. There used to be an advert, years ago on television, and I cannot remember what it was for. And it used to say, such and such a body forgot ironing and remembered such a thing. And so they were showing this person doing their ironing, but they weren't thinking about their ironing. It was an advert for a holiday company. So the idea was to encourage you to do your housework, but allow your mind to drift off to foreign climes and to then book a holiday. Vacations. Yeah, virtual vacations. Yeah. But I often find that if I really want to switch my mind up, if I do something that requires no thought processes, like cleaning the bath out or something, or cleaning the bathroom floor.
That's the perfect use of it. It's essentially a hypnotic state because You just, you're using your imagination, and it's probably making all sorts of lovely pathways in your brain.
Yeah. So that's how I can actually make myself unwind. I wouldn't say that's how I relax. If I want to relax, weather permitting, I would put the sun lounger outside and go and lie down on that. That's relaxing to me. Or listen to a hypnotherapy recording.
Okay.
Yeah, that is relaxing. But to actually unwind, I tend to do something. Same as going for a walk. If I'm really wound up and I feel the urge to unwind, going for a really brisk walk, I find really unwinds me.
Yes, actually, I find it very helpful if it's raining, because I just sort of angry walk and get rid of all those kind of thoughts. But actually, what I was thinking more is the fact that you have set time in your week when you allow yourself to do to do things which are for recreational purposes and not for, and that's built in. You don't have to be all wound up on Saturday to have Sunday off, right?
Oh no. So Sunday is unwinding day. That's the day me and my partner do something, and we shut the rest of the world out, basically. It may be something as simple as just having a nice drive to the coast and a really good long walk. We don't do anything flashy. We're not the type to go to restaurants and that kind of thing. But we may go and buy a takeaway sandwich and a box of mango and sit down on a bench and watch the sea coming in and out for an hour eating. Just something like that. Or any number of things, garden centres, a vintage car rally, absolutely anything at all.
Do you find theatre and movies, when I say theatre, I mean live theatre, but do you find those things are relaxing?
I like,
or help you to feel regenerated somewhat?
Yeah, I like the movies. Nick doesn't. It's an assault on his senses. When you go into the movie theatre, it's there on the great big screen in front of you, plus the sounds, plus other people behind talking and throwing the popcorn in the air.
But would he enjoy a movie watched at home?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And there have been occasions when something's come on television and then he said to me, this would be far better seeing it on the big screen. Avatar springs to mind as one thing, to get that full experience on the big screen. But then for him, it's weighing up one way or the other.
Right.
Which is better, sort of in the comfort of your own home, or seeing it on a big screen, but with all those other sort of downsides
distractions.
to it. All those other distractions. Theatre, I can't remember the last time I went. I really cannot remember.
I haven't been for a bit. I went to a concert about a year ago. I didn't do very much for the last couple of years because of COVID.
Yeah. Now pop concerts. Yeah. Closed, of course. Just prior to COVID, we started going to concerts. We went to 3 in a 12-month period. Kim Wilde, Spice Girls, and Cher. All
the past.
all pre-COVID. I could fill a podcast talking about the Cher concert. She was fabulous. But she did say her next farewell tour.
Yes, she does have rather a lot of them.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, and I beg your pardon. We have been to a concert since COVID. We went to Kim Wilde, didn't we? Just a few months ago. About October time.
Recent.
Yeah, about October time.
I mean, you and I met during the epidemic. We didn't know each other.
We did, absolutely, yeah. See, things to be thankful for with COVID.
There you go. So now spinning back to hypnosis.
Yeah.
What aspects of your relaxation do you think you take advantage of that state? Obviously, you're not formally hypnotizing yourself or getting anybody else to do it, but do you think that ability to use the creative side of your imagination, do you think?
Yeah, the best thing I learned, and anybody who's watching or listening to this can do it themselves too, is I like to do the 7-7-7 breathing. In for 7, hold for 7, out for 7, or any number you choose, basically. But breathe in, hold, and breathe out for equal lengths of time.
In equal portions.
Yeah, equal portions. And in doing that, after maybe doing 20 breaths of that, you can really take yourself down to a nice place of relaxation, and then just visualize what you want to visualize, as in positive future rehearsal, positive future visualization of a situation, some upcoming event, something like that. And the whole process can take about 15 minutes, but it can really, really clear you in the daytime. It can really sort of take you out of yourself, and then you can bring yourself back around nice and slowly in your own time and feel refreshed, as opposed to if you go for a lie down and put your head on the pillow and have a 15-minute sleep, and then you wake up feeling groggy for the next 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to give yourself an hour or so.
Yeah.
You're going to use that.
Yeah, because
siesta.
Siestas are fatal for me. If I have a siesta, I wake up and I am like a bear with a sore head. I am not a nice person if I have afternoon sleep.
I do not like 2 mornings in a day.
No.
So since I think this is a segue, and of course you can cut it out if you don't, I know you just wrote an article about meditation and mindfulness. How do you think those compare to the hypnotic state and its utility?
Okay, well.
So I think of it, sorry to jump in, but I think that hypnosis is sort of necessary to clear out the clutter so that you can meditate. But of course, there are a lot of people that don't intentionally use hypnosis. They're obviously going to go through that mind state several times a day. But
self-hypnosis and meditation have more similarities than differences. But if we're talking about meditation and hypnosis, as in with a hypnotist or hypnotherapist, then that's where the two differ. In terms of, we're talking about mindfulness. Mindfulness tends to be concentrating on the here and now, and isn't a guided thing. It's something you do yourself, whereas hypnosis, hypnotherapy is meditation with a purpose. You're being guided, you're being taken on a journey. Those, to me, are the main differences.
Yeah, although I do guided meditation, more of a guided meditation when I'm doing group work. I don't want to try and hypnotize a bunch of people at the same time. So I tend to use tapes and love and listen to an audio between chat, conversation, coaching sort of with guided meditation. Now that all of my information is in one place, some of those people will realize that it's actually hypnosis. I have to think about the marketing aspects of that, because some people get scared off when they hear hypnosis. They think it's too woo-woo, or it's just a trick.
Yeah, but if you call it,
this will hopefully help educate the public.
I mean, this is it. If you call it positive visualization or guided visualization, then that sounds acceptable to people who fear the word hypnosis.
Yeah, but again, if you want hypnosis to be accepted more, as I do in the medical community, then we're going to have to name it. Otherwise, we've got 15 different hypnotists all practicing 15 different things. They're calling different things because it's better for marketing, and it's just confusing. It doesn't really matter what you call hypnosis. It is what it is. Yeah, but
it is different things to different people as well, isn't it?
Right.
Some people remember everything that was said to them, practically, verbatim, but other people may remember the beginning and may remember the end, but they don't remember the middle bit. Here's something our listeners and viewers might find interesting. Do you find with a lot of clients they lose all perception of time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of them. In fact, that's something that the gentleman that I got great enjoyment from last year, I'm not going to name him, but he was wonderfully enthusiastic, wonderful client. Absolutely followed everything I suggested, everything I told him we'd need to do. He did. He was wonderful, and he said that the first time he came to me, on the second occasion, he said, and I left the room and I thought, well, that was short, and then I looked at the clock, and it was. That was an hour. That was an hour. Yeah. Do you have the same thing with your clients?
I've had a similar experience recently where somebody said, "Oh, I wasn't out, I wasn't hypnotized," and I said, "Oh, and how long do you think it lasted?" He said, 10 minutes. I said, "Well, if you look up there, you'll see it was 35 minutes." It just totally blew his mind. It was like, well, what happened? Yeah, people.
See, I mean, we know this because we know that when we daydream.
Exactly.
All sorts of amounts of time. You could have had you could imagine an entire life cycle, and it'll be 5 minutes, and you can, take a short nap. In your sort of lucid dreaming, and go on a vacation to Maui or wherever, and when you look at the clock, you realize you've been on Maui for an hour.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever do this sort of like sitting at your desk? Do you ever go into a daydream sometimes?
Oh, constantly.
No, but seriously, do you ever go into a daydream and you realize suddenly half an hour's passed and it's like, where did that go? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's not just me then.
I wonder, actually, if you think about, people talk about the rabbit hole of social media, you just click, click, click. I wonder how much of that is actually in a sort of semi-hypnotized state, because you're clicking. I bet you could say to anybody, what did you read 3 posts ago? I don't think people are taking it in. They're just looking at stuff. A lot of people, not everybody, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
people have no idea they've been an hour looking at Facebook when they were supposed to be writing that article.
And of course, in that kind of state, people are quite suggestible to the idea on times as well, because you can say to somebody, and I wonder if you'll remember what I said 7.5 minutes ago in 12 minutes time.
I was thinking you were going to say then, and I wonder why Facebook ads are so popular.
Yeah,
because if you're in a hypnotic state, you're going to accept advertising too. Your critical mind is on a break right now. So,
talking of ads and what have you, did you ever? There was a load of stuff we were taught years and years ago about subliminal advertising. When everything used to be like 30 frames per second, and they drop the odd 1 or 2 frames in, and there was
little girls in or female in ice cubes and vodka bottles and things.
Yeah.
I think it became I don't know if it was illegal, but it was certainly frowned on after a short period of time.
Yeah, it's illegal in this country. I know that. We were told it was illegal, but it wasn't in the States. I wondered if it was now, or if it's still used now, or
it's not officially used. Who knows what people really get up to?
Yeah,
because it's subliminal. We can slow things down. I'm sure Google would catch them if it was wrong.
No, I just wondered if talking of Facebook ads, I wondered if as you're scrolling,
I haven't seen anything that suggests that people are using it, but I wouldn't say never.
Right. So I'm just trying to think back now to the start of this conversation, because as usual, viewers and listeners, we've gone all over the place, and we hope you found it interesting. We always do.
Yeah.
But we were talking about when things throw us off kilter, and when something unexpected happens. What about other things unexpected other than illnesses, though?
Internet going out because there's been a power surge or something.
Yeah.
Or your favorite site going down, and speaking of somebody whose whole business exists because of this little machine in front of me. That is extremely stressful, and I can't fix it.
Yeah.
It makes me go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is how some people react so differently to different things, though. Say, for example, you're on the motorway, you've got a full busy day ahead of you planned with 2 or 3 meetings with clients, and you get a puncture. And there's nothing you can do. It's just one of those things, but you're going to be delayed by 3 hours by the time rescue have been out and changed your wheel over or whatever. Now, some people would react as in make a couple of phone calls and just say, well, that's the situation. That's how it is. I can't do anything about it. Other people would go into a full meltdown. Yeah.
I'm somewhere between the two. It depends on what I am trying to get to. And that is, well, for a start now, I'm a great deal calmer about it, but flight delays used to drive me crazy because I was a locum tenens doctor, so I had to get to places to go to work, and there was nobody else that could be me if I didn't get there. So I was responding to the fact that I was letting people down, even though I had absolutely no control over what the plane was doing or what the weather was doing. I did have fairly early in my career, I was flying into Maine. I was in Boston, and we had been so delayed that the flight was, so many people who were supposed to be on the flight got cancelled because they were been delayed. And I spoke to customer service. I don't think I was too awful, but I was certainly quite forceful about what the heck am I supposed to do now apart from sit around in Boston for overnight, needing to be at work at 7 a.m. And I think they were just impressed by the fact that I was an emergency room doctor.
Yeah, well.
He got me a limousine and had me driven a 7-hour drive because I was way at the top of Maine.
Oh, that's fantastic.
2 men driving me in a limo with me taking a bit of a nap in the back. And then they had to drive all the way back. It was quite amazing.
Were you doing a Lady Penelope in the back?
Yeah, sort of thing. I think probably the alternative would have been a free flight, which wouldn't have helped me. I mean, I suspect that's what they did for the other, but there were a lot of passengers. But it wasn't any fault of the airline. It was just, that's the weather. That is the reality.
Yeah, well, that's great though, isn't it? Chauffeur limo.
It was lovely.
Yeah,
I've never been so posh in my life.
Well, that thing though about perception of time, just getting back to that, if you were delayed for 3 hours in an airport, trapped it, especially once you're airside and you can't get back out, and you're delayed for 3 hours there, that 3 hours will go one heck of a lot longer than if you were just sat on a beach for 3 hours when you had nothing to do equally.
I have found a book is very helpful during that time. Also in Boston, different flight, but I flew through, but I do not like Boston Airport. But I got one of the greatest books I've ever read was an alternative history, which I used to love. Don't read a lot of it now, but I used to love it. And they had one of those book exchange things, like a little free library where a traveler has finished that book. They do it at the Wise and youth hostels, that sort of thing as well. But they do it at the airport. And so the first time you buy it, you put $2 in the bin, and then you give one, take one. And I found this book, and I read the whole thing. 6 hours going up and 6 hours coming back. Well, just the flight coming back, thankfully. But I had a 6 hour layover, and I was almost annoyed when they called the flight.
Yeah. Again, though, you get engrossed in the book. Did you find it's that hypnotic effect? Yeah. Time will go very, very quickly. Talking of those book exchange things, have you seen what's become, I wouldn't say commonplace in England, but we've got one in Darwin anyway. You know, the old red phone boxes over here.
Oh, they're using them for books.
Yep, they're using them for books. They're filling them with books, and again, leave one, take one.
Yep, that's a great idea. We have here, it's called a Little Free Library. People can petition. I think they pay an amount to use the name, and they put up these little look like giant birdhouses with a little door, and people keep 20, 30 books in there, and people just exchange, come by and drop them off and take them. And you'll suddenly see a whole range, because people are clearly moving and downsizing to get the same author, you get 10 authors.
Brilliant. As I say, that one started down the road from us, and it was like, what a great idea. That's lovely. A use for the redundant red phone boxes. Well, we're at the end of another episode, Denise.
That's very good. I was going to say that's also a lovely way to keep the phone boxes.
Yeah,
they are. I mean, there's such a it's almost like a bobby with the right sort of hat on, isn't it? It's just
they're
a symbol of Britain.
Yeah, they are iconic over here.
Iconic.
Yeah. The old red phone boxes. They're lovely. Yeah, we're at the end of another episode. How's that?
Yeah.
And of course,
see, we can talk about anything, people.
We can anything and everything. As we always say, it's just a conversation between two friends and colleagues, and it goes where it goes. But next episode, we do have a guest on with us, don't we? Les Roberts, talking about children hypnosis and hypnotherapy.
So it will be a lot more cogent, a lot less tangential, and definitely worth listening to. So please join us again next week.
Join us next week, and thanks for joining us on this one.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.